So do you typically do sketches before your paintings?
Yeah, I usually do a little 10-minute sketch, and whether I'm painting from life or from a photo on my computer, I still like to do a sketch. It just helps me warm up to the scene.
And then are you mostly looking for just like sort of a strong light dark pattern or compositional ideas?
Yeah, just kind of composition and value pattern. So it's a little of everything. And now it's just kind of a habit. When I first started, I was definitely focused on trying to figure out composition, but now it's just kind of a habit I get into, and I kind of like it.
How long do you typically spend on a sketch?
About 10 to 12 minutes.
Okay, and then will you do like multiple sketches in a location typically?
No. Usually I just do one and then I get to paint.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm so anxious and excited to start painting that I'm too anxious to do a sketch, and I just jump into the painting.
Yeah.
So
that's me. That's how I work.
Yeah, I know. I know the feeling, but I'm trying to force myself to stay on it because it's been so good over the years. And now I've got 10 of these books. They take me about 2 years to fill. Yeah. And so I've got this whole chronicle of my entire painting career with dates and locations, and it's really fun to look through it.
It would be so cool to publish like something like that, you know?
Yeah, who's gonna buy that?
I'd buy it.
All right, I got one.
You got one? All right, so I'm all set up here. I'm gonna be painting on a 20 by 20 inch stretched canvas today. Liquid as my medium, usual palette of colors. I've got some new natural bristle flats here. I'll probably be using these. This is a number 8, and then I've got a number 6 in here somewhere as well.
I think it's clearer today.
Yes, I think that cold reduces the moisture, right? So
yeah.
If I can.
The darks are going to be loaded up on the right side, and then Alcatraz in the distance, and just a whole bunch of shadow in that foreground. And the challenge, I think, is these cars. Those are going to be,
these cars right here?
Yeah, on the right side. They're hard.
16 by 16 inch?
16 by 16 stretched canvas today.
And then you pre-primed?
Yeah, I mix acrylic paint in with my acrylic gesso, and that way I tone it at the same time and just add another layer of gesso on there. The easel is a open box M, and which is I really like. I've had it for 15 years or so. The maximum width it holds is 20 inches, but it's really lightweight. It's great for lugging around. All
right, so as usual, starting with big shapes, and then now I'm coming in and trying to be a little more specific. All right, so I'm going to start with my darks using a mixture of ultramarine, alizarin crimson, and burnt sienna, and thinning with liquid. And I am just squinting at the scene, just sort of reducing it into light and dark. And then these shadows on the ground here are actually kind of changing really quickly. So I want to kind of get these locked in before they're gone. And at some point I'm going to have to get some shade, for my canvas here. But for now, since I'm just working with light and dark, it's going to be fine. Tim and I were just talking about how important design is and how difficult it can be to talk about design or to teach design, because Tim does a lot of work. He teaches a lot of workshops. In fact, that's how I met Tim, actually, when I first started painting, which was 2003. I saw his work online, and that was probably about 2004 at that point, and I noticed that he was in Marin County, which is not far away. So I emailed him, and turned out he was doing workshops, and so I took a workshop, like a weekend workshop, and we've been buddies ever since. I like the line of the shadow here. Of course, this will all get, this is all dark as well. Looks like Tim's got his shadow pattern mapped out here. Looks like you mapped it out using ultramarine, maybe?
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Perfect. So you got that warm, cool relationship already going. Do you start with like big shapes and then kind of work more to the specific?
Yeah, I'll start with the value pattern first. I want to get everything that's in shadow blocked in with that ultramarine and just leave everything in light, just basically the canvas. And then, yeah, I work generally dark to light,
Yeah.
big shapes, big masses, and I try to do all my shadow areas before I get into anything in the light. And that way I just, you know, I establish that sense of light from the very beginning and just kind of hang on to that all the way through.
So at this point, I'm going to back up and take a look at the shadow pattern here, and I think it looks pretty good. So mixing up a color for the sky using titanium white, ultramarine blue, and a bit of phthalo blue. I'm going to continue sort of blocking these colors in, and then once the blocking is done, then I'm going to have to move to find some shade. But for now, you know, just getting thin, approximate colors onto the canvas. All right, mixing a color for the water using ultramarine, burnt sienna, and titanium white. And there's some docks out in the water, kind of sticking out into the water, but I'm going to eliminate those. This is already a really complicated scene, so I'm going to do quite a bit of editing just to make it, you know, just to simplify. And as I've mentioned before, like, my goals usually with painting, or in my paintings, what I'm looking for is like a nice composition, strong composition, and a convincing feeling of light as well.
Hello. What do you think? Is it gonna work? Hard to tell.
All right, so I had to move. It was just too bright over there. The view is not exactly what I need, but I have enough information here that I think I'll be fine. I'm noticing right away that this building up here is distracting. It's these buildings right here. So I think I'm gonna eliminate those. If something isn't working, I just get rid of it. All right, so I do feel like I might need something up here to kind of stop the eye from running off. And there is a palm tree over there, so maybe I'll just put the top of the palm like right there. All right, just added some yellow to this kind of blue mixture I had here. I'm not that concerned about the color, just more just the shape, and to see if it's gonna do what I want it to do. It's kind of just lightly suggested, but I do think I like that better.
These parked cars over here, when I started, they were in shadow, but I lost the light on them very quickly, so I'm gonna have
these
to,
over here,
on
yeah.
the left side, yeah. So I'm gonna have to put those in from a photo when I get home. But I feel like I got a decent rendering of this one on the right.
Yeah, I love how you just loosely suggested it, and then also value-wise, it's like it sits nicely into this shape here.
Right, even though it's got some highlights that are reflecting light from across the street. And
right.
That's sometimes dangerous to...
Will you kind of downplay those highlights a little bit sometimes?
Definitely, most of the time. Like sometimes I leave them out completely. In this, I feel like it's an important lighting effect that's happening, and it does kind of liven up the shadow area because it is such a large area.
If I don't want to make the highlights on the car too bright, I'll just use like white with or titanium white and ultramarine, and kind of have like a blue highlight that's kind of darker value, something like that.
Right, yeah, and because it's cool in temperature, it helps it stay in the shadow area. This area here is unresolved. I'm not sure how I'm going to deal with that because the light has changed so much. And I just need to tighten up this a little bit. This is an unusual structure. It's a little difficult to describe what it is. I like the abstract quality of it, so I'm just gonna rely on that.
Yes, and also too, like how the shadow kind of goes up the wall also helps indicate, right, that there's a wall there.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now this is, I know, as I'm working away, it's like this is a tough. It's a tough composition, but that's that's what we expect in the city a lot of the time.
But one thing I do like about this scene is so much area is in shadow, and then you get big shapes on the outside, and then it kind of leads you toward the center where you have much smaller shapes. Weird thing happening right here. I think this is I don't know what that is.
Oh.
Pier or something?
I know the pier coming out here, I was like, I just got rid of it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I can't make it work.
That's a good idea. I hadn't thought of that, but
if I try twice with something and it doesn't look right, it's like, that's it.
Yep.
Because there's so little time when we're doing plein air.
Life is short.
So see how that's like kind of, it's really undefined.
Mm-hmm.
There's something I like about it, but, and I don't know if you've ever gone through this, like you'll have something like that and you're like, oh, that's not right. And then you clean it up and you kill it.
Yeah, oh, happens all the time.
You know what I mean? So like, I'm gonna leave that even though it's like, it doesn't make sense.
Right, right.
But, and even here, like see right in here, like this spot, it's all just random sort of chaos that happened.
Right.
You know, and it's like, in the past, I would just kill all that.
Yes, and when I am in that situation, I feel like it's my left brain trying to do all that stuff.
Yes.
And so I'm constantly trying to squash my left brain.
Exactly.
And it seems to work out better that way.
Yeah.
When I'm able to.
I'm gonna squash it now, just like, right, exactly, and not overdo it.
Yeah, it's
All right, so I didn't quite finish, but it was fun to play around and experiment with this composition, although it's really challenging. Cityscapes for me often take 2 or 3 times in a location before I start figuring out how to compose or how to get a successful painting out of it. So that's one of the things I like about urban plein air, is it's a real workout, you know, artistically or creatively, especially compositionally. But anyway, Tim actually did spend some additional time at home kind of finishing up his painting. If you'd like to see more of his work, I'll put his information down below, his Instagram, his website, that sort of thing. So be sure to check it out. If you'd like to see some extra videos and help support the channel, there's a Patreon link down below as well. Other than that, stay creative, and I'll see you guys in the next video.